Hey, my friends, it's Steve with Real Progressives. The Libertarian movement appears to be infecting what is progressivism. And I think it's really, really important to kind of delineate between what it means to be a libertarian and what it means to be a progressive. And this conflation of what it means to be a libertarian versus what it means to be a progressive could not be any more pronounced than the motivations for asking government to get out of our lives in certain areas and at the same time to represent civil rights and civil liberties and fiscal, financial truths that progressives embrace versus those of libertarians. Now, many of you guys know I used to support Ron Paul years ago. I was a big-time Ron Paul guy. I really, really liked Ron Paul a lot. And, I used to run around saying stuff like audit the Fed and end the Fed. And, I was really, really steeped in it. And somebody embarrassed the shit out of me by making me explain what it was that I thought I was going to find when I did all these things. And they put me on the spot asking me, what do you think the Fed does, dude? Really, what do you think it does? And, back then, it was all punchlines and buzzwords, which are easy for younger people. And I'm not so young anymore. But they were easy for younger people to grab onto. And, younger people that are like, fuck authority, man. Fuck authority, man, anarchy. And, they say things. And I wasn't really wrapped up in Ron Paul for the anarchist side of it so much as I was more so about ending the drug war. That was really what my motivation for Ron Paul was. He was the only one at the time that had the friggin' cojones to friggin' come out and say, hey man, we need to legalize marijuana. We need to cut this shit. So that was enough for me, to realize that so many of our problems stem from jailing people for marijuana, right? But my concern wasn't that I hate the government and I wanted the government out of our lives. My concern is that penalizing people for smoking doobage was just stupid, right? Putting people in jail, making their families suffer was just stupid. And it affected the people that could least afford to pay the bail, least afford to pay the fines and all the, crap that they make you go through with rehab and all that other shit that they throw you into, court ordered, right? And I kept thinking to myself, these people are going to be in jail forever. They're never going to be able to afford to pay their court-ordered treatment plan, right? So these are the things that drove me to Ron Paul. And, he always seemed to make such great sense. He didn't want any more foreign wars, didn't want any interventionism. So that kind of appealed to me too, right? So you see the anti-war part of Steve and the anti-drug war part of Steve kind of found a home in Ron Paul. He made a lot of sense to me, right? But then I started listening to him talking about FEMA. And I started listening to him talking about how the poor used to carry the dead, in these... he bragged about this stuff like it was a good thing. And, and you look at it and it was the local thuggery with their guns out, making the poor people carry the dead out of these, friggin' disaster zones. I was like, so that's what a libertarian paradise looks like, And anyway, so I started digging more and realized that it wasn't really so much that Ron Paul cared about the issues. He just wanted government gone. He just didn't like government, period. It was all, get away from me, free markets, free this, free that, free, You think Hillary was a neoliberal? You ain't seen nothing yet until you've seen the Ayn Rand people have a shot at free markets. Right? They want to privatize everything. They don't want anything done by the government at all. down to friggin' sections of roadway. They would rather it be private and everybody pay some use fee. I mean, it gets crazy. The shit that they want to do gets crazy. Bartering with chickens and frickin', gold nuggets and all kinds of other crap. You talk about really dumbing society down. Libertarians got that market cornered, folks. The problem is that libertarians are infecting the progressive movement like you wouldn't believe. The idea that we all want to smoke some Chiba has suddenly made strange bedfellows out of progressives and libertarians. Hey, man, we all want to get high, right? That's kind of the thing. But that really, civil liberties, man, they would do away with the Civil Rights Act. Do away with it. I mean, we're talking about literally, they just want, hey, man, whatever you want to do is fine with me. If you want to deny people the right to eat in your restaurant, knock yourself out. If you want to deny them use of a water fountain, I don't care. If you want to make them sit in the back of the bus, do what you got to do. They genuinely don't care. So there's nothing progressive about their stances for equality. There's nothing progressive about anything about them. It's all about the non-aggression principle or pact, which is, hey, man, tax is force, dude. What do you got? Well, you got a gun to my head. It's tax is force. So you get down to this stuff and it's like, okay, so if tax is force, what if we stop taxing your dollars altogether? What if we stop taxing them altogether? Well, your dollar, in very short order, would slowly but surely be worth nothing. It would be worth nothing. And you would have 100 forms of competing currency all of a sudden in play. And you wouldn't know which one you could use to buy whatever. Hey, man, I can bring, somebody's teeth over here to Joey and get myself a dime, bag of weed. Or I can bring a box of chicken necks over to Susie and I can get some Clorox soap for my freaking laundry. I mean, it starts getting crazy the deeper down the rabbit hole you go. Which brings me to my next point. Earlier today, I got tagged into one of these baited type, hey man, let's go ahead and do Street Fighter, Street Fighter streamer style. So I got tagged into this loser's, rant where he's talking about the Rothschilds, right? And so I didn't feel like getting into it with him because, quite frankly, I find it to be a waste of time. But let's just say I did get into it with him. What is it you expect to do, Mr. Conspiracy Theorist, Mr. End the Fed? How is it that you're planning on getting my kids free college? How is it that you're planning on getting us single-payer health care? While you're all screaming and yelling about end the Fed, how is it that you're fixing the environment before disaster comes, Mr. Rothschild Hunter, right? They probably have some bad cable network up on the 900 channels for the Rothschild Hunters. It's a bunch of guys with a neck beard, and friggin' big beer belly sitting there with the bad hair. Hey, man, we're going Rothschild hunting tonight, dude. Just go, and hold the bag, like snipe hunting, right? I mean, this is the stuff. And so I'm thinking to myself, where is this coming from? Progressives have always looked at building a better society. They haven't looked at destroying society. So where is this schism in the quote-unquote movement? Where's the schism coming from? If you do away with the very mechanisms that we have in place that would enable us, if we decide to fight for it, right? You got to fight for something. There's none of this shit happening without a fight. Not one bit of it. Not one bit of it. Every bit of what I'm saying, every bit of what they're saying, every bit of it comes down to a fight. So at this moment in time, you say you want single payer. You say you want to see Social Security raised. You say you want to see a basic income guarantee. You say you want to see a job guarantee. Where does end the Fed fit in with that? How many people have to die in your quest for the Rothschild, Hunter? How many people have to die in your quest to snipe out Alex Jones, to take Alex Jones and put him off into the pasture so that you can go hunt the Rothschilds by yourself and the Illuminati and all the other stuff? I mean, seriously. How many people have to die while you divert the people who are not quite, I don't want to be mean, but they're not quite smart enough to see through the bullshit? How many people have to die while you divert their attention while we're trying to teach them economics so that they can actually make a change in the country? How many people have to die while your stupidity infects America and destroys our movement, damn it? Sucks the life right the fuck out of it. How many people have to die while you sit there and play these games? I mean, I get badgered over and over and over again about not talking about George Soros. Do you know why I don't talk about George Soros? Because I don't care. He's just another rich son of a bitch trying to buy our democracy. And there's 1,000 of them. Sheldon Adelson. There's a ton of them. Which one do you want me to go after next? I'm not putting my friggin' Sherlock Holmes hat on and chasing after the boogeymen. I got bigger fish to fry. I'm trying to teach America how to take care of itself, how to demand better from their elected representatives. But you want me to chase after the boogeymen? You know, spectacle on. Well, I do declare, sir, the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 says, blah, 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 blah. And so, you know, at the end of the day, what the hell is it that you want? What do you want? Not me, you. Do you want to run around playing games? You want to roll your 20-sided die and see if you get plus 10 conspiracy theory of basement dwelling to go ahead and fix the country? Or do you want to learn how to tell your congressman how to frickin' spend on the environment? Yo, dude, that's a +7 sword of supremacy for the libertarian movement. I'm not even joking. This is the shit, man. This is the diversions. This is the shiny object that makes the squirrels go. This is the stuff. So you've got the LOL libertarians who are infecting, making being a progressive almost an embarrassing word, because the LOL libertarian absolutely has no interests in single-payer healthcare. They would pollute a river immediately if it made a profit. The anarcho-capitalist and all the other isms off to that side. Hey, man, that's forced, dude. I'll do what I want to do, man. Come on, dude. I don't like authority. I don't like organizations that have somebody that's a leader. And everybody's got to be equal, but at the same time, we're not all putting in equal effort, but my opinion should matter equal to yours, even though you've done the research and you've done the work. My opinion that hasn't had any time put into it should matter just as much as yours, damn it. It really should, and I'm really upset. It really makes me mad when you don't take my opinion so seriously. All opinions are not created equal, folks. Some are bought in blood. Some are hard fought to learn. The idea that libertarians are trying to cut spending, put us back on the moronic gold standard that has always worked so well, that Trump's guy wants to do. So you're a progressive and you want to jump in bed and go in the gold standard with the Trumpers and all the rest of the fools? This is serious. This is the stuff that will destroy everything you claim to care about. And I'm not even going to lie, man. I get a case of the ass sometimes where I just want to friggin' jump up and friggin' break out a friggin', you know, lightsaber and go whoom, boom, 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 and see all the you know, the trails. Because these people don't even realize that what is happening right here, right now, is while it sounds all cool, it sounds hip to be edgy and be like, I don't like authority. I don't like this. There are certain factors, there's certain truths that have nothing to do with your sensibilities about authority. They're simply yes and no, truth and not truth. And so when you just have this defiant attitude that has no basis in fact, it's just a pure cantankerous asshole. When you're just a contrarian, when you see people working really, really hard and you cut their legs out from under them, when you just sit there and yap, yap, yap about nonsense, that is the libertarian effect on the progressive movement. And that right there, friends, is not progress. It's not. I have sat there and fought with these anarcho-capitalists, and I have fought hard with the regular Rothbards, and I've fought hard with the damn Bastiates, and I've fought hard with all these different schools of thought, the Mises crew, okay? That whole Austrian world. And they sit there and they get into these little ticky-tacky bullshit debates. And it always comes down to, hey man, that's force. Hey man, I don't like them having a monopoly power, dude. If you want single payer, if you want any of this stuff, you need to learn the truth first. Let's learn first. Let's start with the learning. It's going to be hard. It's not easy. Yeah, the Chicago school, exactly. Let's learn the basics. Let's learn it. It's not that hard. I swear to God, this stuff is really not that hard. The bottom line is, let's say we're all sitting at a table playing Monopoly. And all of a sudden, I break out the bank. And I'm just giving you guys money to play the game. And we're like having fun, playing it. You're running out of money. It's okay, man. I just give you some more money. Why is that? Because I'm the bank and I create the money. Well, in this case, the bank is the United States Central Bank. And the Congress authorizes spending from its central bank, which is independent within the government. Why? So that the ebbs and flows of political bullshit don't impact things, so that everybody doesn't get thrown for a curve every time a new administration comes in, so you don't have whips and flows. They've got two charters. One, price stability, and two, full employment. That's their charter. Those two things right there. Those are the two big things that their goals are set for. Okay? Now, you can quibble over the things that they've bailed out and decisions they've made on the back end, but it is by Congress writing laws that most of the shit happens. So if you want to get anywhere, if you want to be progressive and make progressive changes, your job after you've learned basic economics from 1971 to present, after you've learned economics from 1971 to present, then you take that knowledge and you take a letter. Earlier tonight, I posted a letter from Warren Mosler. Warren Mosler wrote a letter to Obama, 2011? The letter can be redone immediately, today, and shared to all your congressmen, to Trump, to anybody you want, to your local alderman, I don't care, your dog catcher. It can be sent to every single one of them. It can be sent to your local newspaper. It can be sent anywhere you'd like. And this is the next phase. You learn, then you start taking direct action. And then we create enough noise that they can't look away, that they have to address our needs. But if you're too busy on your Rothschild hunt, Rothschilds, you're not making any progress. You're killing progress. You're killing progress. Going back on the gold standard. They're all coupons, even the gold. It's all a coupon. And the thing that makes a gold coin, if you want to say it, worth something is the stamp on it. That's why you see the dinar and the this and the that. Every country that has gone to a gold standard in very short order abandons their gold standard and jumps to a fiat currency. Now, the problem is that some of these countries end up pegging their currency to the United States dollar or to some other commodity. And then when that thing rises and falls, it screws them. It's a constraint on their currency. And then their currency goes into a death spiral because they've given up a lot of policy space by pegging it to the value of our dollar or pegging it to gold. When you do stuff like this, you destroy your policy space. So all the progress that you want to do, all the progress you say you want to do, that your deeds don't show or reflect to be true, because you're still talking about the Rothschilds, which tells me you're not progressive. Because if you were, you'd be talking about making your congressman frickin' get you single payer. For real, what are you going to do? Walk around with a bazooka, a Rothschild-seeking bazooka, chasing the snipe underneath the stairs? What are you going to do? Do something actionable. Do something worthful, not worth less. Do something esteemable, not something stupid. I mean, if it's a hobby of yours, if you just like doing things to do things, do it. But don't call yourself a progressive and don't drag us along for the ride. Let us fix the country while you roll your 20-sided die in the Dungeon of Rothschilds game. Down in your basement by your old candlelight and your beat-up mason jar water bong. Let the rest of us fix the damn country. Lead, follow, or get the fuck out of the way. That's the serious nature of this stuff. They're not talking about progress, folks. This is a pet fetish. This is like, seriously, like those obsessed people that chase after ghosts, which is fine, knock yourself out, but don't drag the country down while we're trying to make progress on your snipe hunt. You guys want to go on a guided bus tour to the Rothschild mansion somewhere? Do it. You want to go ahead and lay booby traps with infrared cameras all over their mansion? Do it. But in the meantime, let us fix the country, please. Take your fetish and your 20-sided die and leave progress alone. Stop dragging us into it. We've got enough problems with the people in charge right now that we've got to make our Congress act on our behalf. If we don't take that action, if you're so focused on your hunt for the Rothschilds, you're not going to be able to take the time to do the things you need to do. Now, never, ever, ever let it be said that I said the Federal Reserve is good in any way, shape, or form. I'm very neutral on it. It's a spreadsheet. It's nothing more than a spreadsheet, really, folks. The operations are very mundane. They add deposits to banks. They put reserves out. They set the Fed funds rate. They control monetary policy. They have some power here and there that they can do things. But the big things that you and I need them to do require an act from Congress. They have said repeatedly that trying to get the Federal Reserve playing interest rate games to get the economy going is like pushing a string up a hill. Their goal is to make banks lend money. They want you in debt. That's the whole Trump plan. That's the whole friggin' LOL Libertarian plan. When it comes to what I'm saying, we have sovereign fricking currency. Your taxes are not funding it, so we can appeal to enough of the Republicans that still have a brain. If we can stop the LOL Libertarian infection from destroying the progressive movement, just don't even understand how important this is. These young kids, these millennials that are just now getting into politics, that still got like belt marks on their butt from where their dad beat them. Okay? They're still that young. They still got wet behind the ears. Good kids, happy as hell they're plugged in. Totally happy they're plugged in. But we can't let them get swept up in this bullshit anarcho-capitalism, libertarian bullshit. Because if we don't win the hearts and minds of the youth, it's going to be a dog-eat-dog world for us when we're older. It's going to be completely laissez-faire, and it will be way too late to do anything about it. Now, one last thing here. Green Party Amendment 835. I talked about it a while back. Green Party 835, that amendment, 835, is basically, in my opinion, the Tea Party amendment of the Green Party. It's the 10ther. It's the local communities thing. It's just literally the left-wing version of the 10th Amendment. Okay, those 10thers out there. This is basically what that is. The problem with that thinking is that as long as your area is completely down with the Green Party, then you'll be okay in your local community. But the rest of them, what happens if you're stuck in an LOL libertarian hell? What happens if you're stuck in a red state hell? What happens when they decide they're going to slash and burn the world with your 10th bullshit, this 835 amendment that ends up actually not being as special as you think it is, because it's not just done in a Green Party cocoon. It's not just done in a progressive paradise. It's done in a place where there are others, such as those guys right up the street right here. I can see them over there with their rebel flags. Okay? They're not interested in single-payer health care. They're not interested in the environment. They've got their coal rolling, their Prius dusting cars, their trucks with their friggin' rebel flag hanging off the back. They're not interested in your sensibilities. So what happens when you make everything local and you give up your 14th Amendment? You give up the basics of the 14th Amendment, which provides that kind of protection across all the states, that makes it so that minorities aren't going to have to worry. You know, that gives them some protection by law. What happens? I mean, I'm telling you right now, the more we get further away, the closer we get. The further out, the closer we get. It's almost like a circle coming full circle. There's like a real close synergy with the Tea Party and some of these other people. And there's a real close symmetry between progressives and libertarians, even though they are not very similar really at all. But they're getting close. And it's like they're opposite poles in reality. But when it comes down to it, because of a couple social issues, they end up being right here. But the difference is far greater than you think. They want to slash the government. They want to get rid of the things that we're talking about. They want to get rid of the ability to provide universal health care. I'm telling you what, taking us back to the dark ages. And that, I mean, I used to think it was a bunch of hyperbole, but it's not. Look, just because you have a great insulated tent and wonderful leggings and a wonderful little mat to lay on in the woods that keeps you warm at night, doesn't mean everybody does. And it doesn't mean everybody wants to live in a shack in the middle of nowhere. And so this whole idea of trying to cram that down and wreck it is not a progressive value to me. You can call me a statist all day long. I want the state to serve the 99%, not the other way around. So when you're asking yourself, you know, what it is that you want, if you claim to want any of the things that Bernie Sanders put forward, if you're a Bernie person and that's where you're at, There's nothing LOL libertarian about what he was suggesting. There is not one damn thing. And that's why you're seeing this movement go like this. It's coming unglued because the LOL libertarians are back to all the friggin' crazy shit. They're back and they're pulling people with them. And then other people are pulling people this way and then they're pulling that way. And so when you're trying to get single payer, you're down to this small little cube of woke as fuck people. Because the others have gone their separate ways. They're chasing Rothschilds over here. They're chasing friggin' gold over there. They're chasing Elvis's ghost over here. I mean, folks, Elvis left the building. It's time to decide if you want a progressive revolution or if you want to go chasing boogeymen. If you want to chase boogeymen, I assure you, there's no shortage of them. But if you want to make progress, focus on the issues, not the personalities. Because the boogeymen just will keep coming. There's always going to be a new boogeyman. The Bible always had evil, always had good, and they're always at each other's throat. We have this need to demonize somebody. The Jews, you know? The Jews did it. The Jewish bankers. Oy vey. You always hear that Amsel Rothschild's quote, "Hey, I don't care how a country governs itself, just give me the keys to the money supply, baby." You always hear them talking about that. Reality. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 gave them monetary policy run by the Congress, edict by the Congress. The Congress tells them what to do, tells them to wipe their nose, they wipe their nose. Our Congress isn't doing its job. It's not. So if you want progress, start with working in your local areas, get good Congress people in there, send letters to them, tell them you demand that they spend on us. You demand that they acknowledge that taxes don't fund spending at the federal level. You demand that. And then you go talk to your Republican friends and you tell them, hey, dude, we can have all those things and we don't have to raise taxes to do it. Instead of worrying about the debt ceiling, instead of worrying about the debt limit, instead of worrying about deficits and all the other shit, start worrying about, hey, do we have inflation? If not, then shut the fuck up. We need to spend money to get where we need to get to. That's the nature of the game. And I know, wouldn't it be wonderful if you could get rid of capitalism tomorrow morning? In the meantime, my children have died waiting for single payer while your pipe dream is friggin' going off in smoke. And there's still a whole bunch of these people with these Confederate flags that didn't have access to mental health care, so they didn't shoot somebody. And then there's still a bunch of people out there that didn't get to go to college because they couldn't afford it because you were too busy playing Rothschild chaser. Too busy doing nonsensical crap. Time to make a choice, folks. Are you really trying to make progress? Or do you just want to play games? If you want to play games, it's not revolutionary, folks. It's not revolutionary at all. Anyway, this is Steve with Real Progressives. Have a great night, everybody.